Good day to you, gentle person on the internet, and thank you for joining me as we have a look at I See a Butterfly. Now, this is a very interesting game. It's more of a linear experience at the moment. I don't think there's kind of directional choices or anything like that, but I found it as a very, very good core mechanism that I feel could be fitted into a wider game with more kind of context around it, more mechanisms around it. And I'll talk about what I mean in the critique section. For now, let's just jump in and we'll give it a playthrough. The game is based on the Rorschach test, or the ink blot test, as you might know it as, where you look at, in theory, a randomized ink blot, and based on what images you recognize in it, there is the possibility that it could be a useful diagnostic tool to see where your mind is and what your mind is focused on. Some of the sort of psychological context around it has been debunked. It's not really considered that useful a test these days in most cases, but it is an interesting insight into kind of the state of mind and the psychology and the way that, like, looking at dreams and things like that, or quick reaction tests and things like that. It's a potential marker, but more than that normally doesn't mean anything. But the reality aside from it, it is an interesting mechanism to build a game around. And let's jump into begin test and see what we can see. I see a butterfly, what lies beneath the ink. So the idea here is not so much that we just look at an image and talk about it, is we can actually drag the image around and form what either ourselves or the person that we're testing can see or sees. And I found this very, very interesting and very kind of inspirational. I can see many more interesting ideas that might come out of this particular mechanism. Anyway, so we can drag this, as far as I understand it, in kind of two directions. We can kind of drag it up or down, and then it flows very, very pleasingly, or we can drag it from left to right, and it kind of rotates it very pleasingly. And we're trying to make a butterfly, and then when you get it right, it kind of locks into place, and there is the butterfly. And that was the end of our first test. Now, this can be quite hard, and I found it sort of 3/4 of the way through the game. I found it very frustrating. It's very difficult to actually do. But there is an option set up here where we can you can either exit to the main menu. It tells us sort of what we're supposed to be doing, so that's about as much of a tutorial as there is, which we must remember for the critique section. But you can also turn on the helper bar, which I found very, very useful. And it draws this little bar up here, so as you drag it up and down, you can see the bar like fills in. Then you drag it from side to side, and there the bar fills in a lot more, and you can drag it up and down as well again, and then from side to side, and kind of as you get closer, you drag it to the point where the bar shows you where you are, and then cha-chunk, it locks into place, and I see the face of a beautiful woman. Card number 3. I see a love. I found this one very hard to do without the helper bar. I wasn't using it in my first playthrough. It is possible. It is fine. You just kind of have to have patience and things like that. But as I said, about halfway through the game, I'd gotten tired of it. I'd gotten tired of the mechanism, things like that. And we must talk about in the critique section how I feel this could be turned into a more interesting game with the idea of building something around the idea and the helper bar. Where's this person? Oh, there we go. I see a love story that should last forever. The next card. I see a rejection. This one I found very, very hard without the helper bar. I couldn't really see the image that it was trying to form for a while. I mean, I had an idea of what it probably meant, but yeah, it was difficult. I see a rejection. Card 5. I see a mirror. and in it, anger and sickness. And I like this, the idea of sort of multiple images placed on top of each other and kind of shaping around each other. And the mirror is cracked. And something sharp. And this is interesting, obviously, because it changes the color and that kind of thing. Now, the helper bar definitely makes this a lot easier. And I think I'm actually going to stop there. I think you guys need to come and give this a little bit of a play. It isn't a long experience at all. It's quite short, especially with the helper bar. If you play without the helper bar, it lasts a bit longer because you have to fiddle around for a bit and kind of look at the images and see where they're trying to go. With the helper bar, it makes it a bit quicker, and it just becomes a very easy story experience. But this is a very nice, very atmospheric game. I like it a lot. I like the design. I like the principles behind it. I think it's clever, but I think it is just the first step in something that could be actually quite an intense gameplay experience, and I'm hoping the developer takes it there, or somebody else runs with the inspiration. But I think this developer is very well poised to take this to the next level. So we're going to talk about that now in the critique section. If you are here just to see some of the gameplay, well, the link is in the description. Come and give it a play. Give the developer a love on their page. If you want to give me a little bit of love, then don't forget to like or dislike, and leave a comment telling me why you liked it or disliked it, so I get better at making videos. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you want to see more indie games reviewed, showcased, as we do around here in our attempt to make the indie gaming community better and fend off some of these AAA monsters that are trying to steal all our money with monetization and AI-based slop. That is kind of our cause that we're fighting behind here in this channel, while also just trying to bring entertainment people both in the videos and in the games that we share with them. So positive, good things all round. And so that is that's kind of what we want. So hit those like and dislike buttons. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you in the next video, if you are heading out now. Otherwise, let us talk about the critiques. Well, okay, UI, let's get through the quick things. UI, I mean, it's absolutely fine. There's no real sort of quality of life sound controls or anything like that. There's an interesting thing here saying, what do you see? Where you're given blots, and you can just treat them and then I guess download them. That's what that looks like, and get a new one. I don't think this goes anywhere. It is just, here are some ink plots. I think possibly even the classic inputs, or possibly this game just generates them. They are moving, which is interesting. I don't know. Interesting. And there's a language shift. Okay. Oh, there isn't yet, but he's going to add some languages. Junas Enala. I'm not sure where that name is from, but he has a website and things like this. Clickable link, though. Make this a link, dude. People just click there and go to your website. The game sounds very interesting. I love the sort of the bloop bloop noise of pulling the blots around. I like the sort of the oppressive hum. There's nothing quite like a good hum to make a game that is supposed to be creepy or horror elemented, really immersive and really viscerally pleasing is the wrong word, but it makes the experience more intense. Good job there. Sounds good. The art, I mean, this game is all based around the artworks of the blots and things like that, so it's going to be good looking either way. It's going to be interesting either way. So full marks for the artwork. And then we come to the gameplay, and this is where I think this game in itself is a good experience. It's a good short direct linear experience, but it could be wrapped into a greater storyline, I think, without too much more effort, depending on the kind of the engines and the effort that the developer wants to look at and get into. And that's really where I'm hoping this game goes, because it would be fantastic if, for an example, this is the first thing that jumped in my head, we were kind of like a researcher using some kind of new tool or AI or something, and we we take our tools and we can read the person we're testing's responses, and we're trying to see if they're a good or a bad person. And then it goes down some kind of horror storyline, and we're like dragging the blot around, and we're getting through our machinery, kind of, you know, the quote unquote bad guy is actually looking at the blot while we manipulate it, and then we can read their responses and get kind of components of the sort of the horror story out as we successfully get the appropriate responses from their mind and things like that, and get them to talk about it, maybe under some hypnotherapy or something like that. I don't know. It's a bit strange that we're looking at the blots and then we're telling our little story, and it is a very, very stereotypical story. Spoilers warning, but kind of the story that it tells here is we saw the stunning woman. Things seemed to be going well, except she rejected us, so we killed her and buried her in the forest, and the butterfly was like on her grave, on her grave, and that's kind of the story that it tells. And I found it's a very classic story. I didn't find it very scary because I played a lot of horror games and I've seen a lot of horror movies. So in the entertainment form, this is kind of almost prosaic. You know, it's a mad guy kills a girl who rejects him, and it's like, that's not really horror. That's not very scary. That's just normal. So it would be nice if we wrapped it into a story that immersed us a bit more and pulled us in a bit more, and maybe had more of a creepier, scarier horror element to it. So yes, that's kind of where I would like to see this game go. I'd like to see more storyline and gameplay around it, rather than the single linear, fairly mild horror story. That's my biggest hopes, and it kind of eclipses everything else that I want to think about the game. I want to see more of it built into a bigger gameplay experience. And I mean, you could almost wrap it into like a 3D element where we're wandering around and there's this guy, and then, maybe when we discover his story, the thing's broken and we need to, like the cell that he's being encased in is broken and we need to escape before he gets us. I don't know, there's lots of potential there. And that's where I'm hoping this is going, because there's a very exciting core mechanic that I think belongs in a bigger game. That's I'm hoping to see. I think people would love it. I think people would really get interested in and quote unquote pay for it if that was the case, if that was where it possibly went. And I think that's it for me. I think that's enough talking about this game. I think it's enough to suggest that, give the devs some love, give them some encouragement to make more. And bravo, developer, good job. Very cool game. And thank you for sharing it with us. And I'm going to stop talking there. So that's a goodbye from me.